kind of an early halftime Chiefs show, right? Chiefs are on, winning so far. Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anyway, a couple little news flashes. We've got word that Jay's fine. He lives in Florida, somewhere in Florida. We're not going to say where, so you guys won't harass him. But I guess he didn't really mention, had a little lost power for like 3 days, had slight damage. But anyway, he's fine. We're fine here at Bass and Bonsai. Fishing this weekend. Let's talk about that, and I'll talk about some baits. So I went Saturday by myself. Went today with Charles. Had to cut it a little short. Bite had slowed down, but actually we left him biting. And so I wanted to give you guys a rundown of the baits and the rods and the reels and kind of where my head is on what I did and didn't like and where I may be headed with stuff. And I've had a few people ask me about, because it's really a personal preference. What's the best, rod and reel combo to get? Affordable, cheap, still gets the job done, or a little bit of money, but, is as good or maybe even better than going high end, right? I mean, there's just so many options out there. So as of right now, in this video, I'm going to give you guys, and you can see them, they're on the table right now, the best reel possibly ever made. You guys see it? I see it. The best BFS reel bargain going right now. Maybe the best BFS reel ever made is maybe on this table now. Got them kind of hidden. They're back there. But I'll talk about that. And the best frog ever made. I don't know if I've thrown the best frog ever made because I haven't thrown them all. But let's jump into that. This sucker is legit. You guys have seen me, and I think I only caught 1 or 2 fish or whatever. But just the way it works, I like this frog. That's the Z-Man first. I think it's their first attempt ever at a frog. They made this one, and they got a size smaller. This is closest to the Booyah Pop and Pad Crasher size-wise, other than the little, the littler one isn't quite. I don't think it's big enough for me. If I'm going to throw a frog, I want him to see it, hear it, feel it, that kind of thing. And if you remember right, I do recommend to kink these hooks up. I kind of went a little crazy with this one, but I'll be honest, I'm throwing through a lot of nasty stuff, and it's not getting hung up. So I'm going to try to show you how I bent it. They're actually sticking out just a hair. They're poking out, this one for sure, a little further. Oh, Chiefs must scored a touchdown. I heard the neighbor sound his horn off. But I'll show you the side profile. When I open these up, this one honestly could go just a hair higher, but I'm going to leave it because my hookup ratios are good. It goes right through the gunk. This one is kind of bent out of whack. That's where you want it, like right at the edge where you run your finger. You can't really feel it, but then if you push the slightest, now this one's too far out this way, so when I go this way, I can feel it. So it actually would, if it hits something there, it can catch on something. Here it actually is just about perfect on this side. So if you can run your finger across this way and this way, you can kind of feel it catch a little. But honestly, this thing does a pretty good job of righting itself, once it lands kind of deal. I haven't had an issue in the hookup ratios. Went out this morning, and I had a couple like, oh my God, get your heart pounding. Like they totally missed it though. Like you could see them like this huge whoo, coming at it, and they misjudged and just missed it. But then I had one that just, inhaled, huge blow up. You just knew it was 5 pounds or bigger. And it was one of those, like what people get addicted to frog fishing, that kind of hit. Bam, got that fish because he got it, and I took it. And I haven't went back and looked at the footage yet, but it felt like forever waiting to feel that, pull. And when I did, I just set the hook, and boom, I had that fish. Caught several others, no blow-ups quite like that one. He wasn't a very big fish, but you'll see in the video. He was not as big as what he sounded, but I had a few, near misses like that. I never felt the weight, so you can't really blame the bait. The fish actually missed that, and that's what will happen with the frog. They get excited. I think they get as excited as us, and they just kind of miss it. But when you blow up or if they suck it down, you kind of want to wait till you feel that, and you're still possibility could miss some of those. Frog fishing can be the most frustrating, but it's kind of some of the funnest, especially when you throw it in the nastiest of stuff. And also, it may be the first or second fish I caught. It was that perfect textbook. Just threw it up underneath this tight spot. The only place you could really throw, the only thing you could throw in that little spot was a frog. And I'm like, oh man, that's like perfect. That's like, something. And then about that time, one got it, and I got that one in. So this bait is legit. Now I didn't even try it. Do you guys remember in the unboxing? As soon as I unpackaged this thing, I instantly went, oh God, those are way down too low. This kind of feels a little stiffer body than some of them. So I instantly just started pulling the hooks out a little. I mean, you guys are more than welcome. I recommend getting it because it definitely works. But if you want to try it without, you might get frustrated if you feel like you miss a big fish and you didn't bend them hooks out a little. Because ideally you want them just on the edges, on the side and the top. This one is almost perfect on the top part. Same thing with this one. But then on the sides, I actually maybe almost went a hair too crazy, but I'm going to leave it. Like I mentioned, because I've thrown it, and you'll see in the video, not only was I catching some fish, I was throwing it like in and around wood, grass, gunk, and I don't think I actually had to, maybe once or twice it kind of got hung up, and it does have a tendency to, the legs get caught a little more, and you got to straighten them out just a hair, but man, game on with the frog. I know, I've talked enough about the frog. The Z-Man frog, it's legit. And so far, I've caught quite a few fish, and other than a little bit of paint like flaking off and a lot of them come with not even that weight painted. And I don't know if there's an issue with Booyah or what, but I don't remember their popping pad crashers being so like this and hard to get them to start walking. This thing just instantly starts walking. I feel that popping pad crasher over the years, like I've mentioned, you guys have seen me talk about it in other videos, even from like last year. My old frog that was like awesome, I don't even remember how I lost it. I just remember I lost it, so I bought another one, and that frog just never had that magic that the other two, I'd say two previous Booyah Pop and Pad Crashers, over the years that I had and eventually wore out or lost. I think I lost both of them just for stupid reasons. And I don't know. I had it, and I bought a couple others, and I don't know if they've changed something. Something happened with those, but I'd swear they're not made the same way. They don't have that flat and walking thing, just like what I remember the other ones. This one seems to have it. And I'm not even going to throw them anymore. I'm going to probably get this one, like I told Charles. I'm probably going to get a white-bellied one and a black-bellied one. Call it a day. Just throw these around. At some point, will I get a smaller one? Probably not. I mean, like I said, white belly, black belly, call it a day on my frogs. Weed out those other ones more than likely. That scum frog, that sucker just rides like this. I feel you can only kind of pull it. I was kind of jerking it, like trying to. I could not get it to walk. I mean, I don't know. I do not like the scum frog. I can't even get it to get hit. Like it's so, I don't know. That bait, it's awesome. Let's go on to something else. So yesterday I went and I thought, as good as I like this, and I don't have them out here, I was trying topwater to start the day yesterday. And so I was throwing if you guys remember that shower blows kind of knockoffs or whatever, basically a bigger, longer walker, and then that little short white one. And I just do not like those. They do not impress me. Honestly, for me, I'll take a Pop Max and just walk it and then pop it, and I'll call it good. I'm not covering huge bodies of water, so I don't feel like I need something that big and working it faster than what the Pop Max will do. So I'm glad I kind of wasted my money on the AliExpress ones, and I don't see a purpose for me to have them. I will probably eventually weed those out, but they were cheap. They're on like $3 and something. One was like $2. I don't even want them in my tackle box because I might want to throw them, and I feel my topwater game has went down messing with those. I should have stuck, if you remember right, that little smaller white popper, which is kind of in between the Pop X and the Pop Max. That thing, right off the bat, was good for the waters I fish. I don't fish real huge bodies of water, but so the poppers have always been game on for me for small lakes, pits, ponds, all that kind of stuff. But the Pop Max, I feel I can work this about the water just like I can with the shower blows, whatever. I can cover water pretty fast working it around. So I'm just going to stick with what works for me, which is basically Pop Max, Pop X, some of them little poppers when I go to BFS, and frogs like this right here, this dude, and some buzzbaits. I need to up my buzzbait game. I think I'm just going to weed out all the buzzbaits I have and just start on some different ones because my buzzbait game is off. So, went out yesterday morning, kind of trying top water. Finally got a hit and missed it because I felt it didn't really hit the bait and take it right. So I switched out. I started rigging a couple different baits on, and one of them I rigged, which I don't even have it now because I lost it. If you guys watched yesterday's video, I rigged up this color Jabberjaw in a deep diver, which is like this. So right now, if you jump on there right now, they're still on sale. I recommend this color, like I've talked about. Get a shallow and a deep version in the olive shad and call it a day. If you already have a favorite color that is close, or you do run 13 fishing stuff, or you know, just a color looks like a bait that you've had luck with, then maybe that color. But if you don't know and you want a suggestion, that color right there, olive shad. Get a shallow and a deep runner. They're $7.98 right now. Call it a day. I'm getting 2 of each of that color, so I got 2 of the shallow ones. They came in Saturday after I got back and I'd lost the other deep diver, so I've only got this as a deep diver. I picked up the those of you that haven't noticed, so I've lost 4 Jabberjaws. So tomorrow, well, sometime this week before I go fishing again, they've got a lure retriever at Bass Pro for $15. I'm going to buy it. I retrieve 1 or 2 of these baits. It's paid for itself, and I will probably do that before the winter actually hits. So the Jabberjaws are 100% legit because I yesterday got on bite with those. It lasted till just after 9 o'clock and was game on, and then the bite just shut down. And actually, I was off deeper banks, and then I kind of started hitting the rest of I was at the Odessa Reservoir. Couldn't get anything else to hit. I went back. I missed a couple on a jig and different stuff, but if it wasn't for that deeper Jabberjaw in that color, I wouldn't have caught a fish. It was just a weird bite. It was weird. So anyway, I also threw these baits. Now I didn't really throw that dude here. I just kind of tossed him in because this was my Strike King and basically my sexy shad. See if I can like this. All these baits right here, and I haven't thrown the chick magnet. I've thrown all these others and this guy. I haven't thrown the rattle trap or the chick magnet, but all these other, I've got 3 deep diving square bills in there, a 1.0 and a 1.5. and a 3XD, and I've thrown them all. And then I even have this one in one of them, in that color, which is, in my opinion, now they make an olive shad, but not in all their baits. It isn't far off from this. You add a little black dot on each side. It is kind of just a little touch toned down version. Doesn't have the orange on the belly, but I tried that for a while yesterday, around the time this was still working, that color. They just stick. It's like they stick in the rocks. These stick evidently because I've already lost some, but like you hit wood and they will stick. So what I may do at some point, because I think what the issue with a lot of these baits are, I think they're just worried about, everybody's fishing these crazy heavier rods, and I think some of these have too big of hooks to actually be true square bills, right? Or to just be cranks that you can get in and out of stuff without getting them hung up. Because if you look, I'm going to show you my favorite bait. Let me find one with stock hooks. There's my favorite little crank of all time, the Dig It, because I just could throw this almost anywhere in wood, debris type stuff, and it just bounces off and around, and you can tickle it across the tops of grass, and it doesn't catch in the grass near like a lot of these. Now, it's a smaller bait, but I want you guys to look at that crazy hook size difference. If you guys can make it out. Like a huge difference. I think if you downsized the hooks on the Jabberjaws, they would be awesome for wood. So I may do that on one just to try it. And I'm not talking this small, but I'm talking smaller. Maybe try to get a shorter shanked one, or something, because I feel there's no issue with hookups. Like you get a decent rod, like, you know, when because they eat this bait. So I feel like maybe a size smaller, I would have less issues. And it's something I may just try. I may leave them alone because they do work. They do flat out. They just work. But the baits that I feel do not work, I'm going to show you here. Oh my gosh. And that's why. That's why. These hooks suck. No, I'm just... The hooks are good, but I think they're too big on every bait. Let me just try to get this one out to show you. So this is the deep diver. And it's a 1.5 deep diver. But look at how massive these hooks are. In my opinion anyway. Those are huge hooks. I feel they can hinder how the bait works and help it get caught up more. Because the square bill, you know, it's not like a rattle trap just all out there on its own. Because we all know rattle traps, you do not throw around anything because they get stuck no matter what size hooks, right? There's nothing really there to help deflect them off of stuff. But most of these other baits, maybe not the 3XD, because it actually looks like it maybe has closer to what it should have kind of hooks. Yeah, see it's a smaller bait, but it's got like a way smaller hook. Like I think that is more close to being proportionate. But honestly, this bait here probably needs hooks like that on it, and I think it may help you get through stuff. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys where is it? Oh my God, did I lose that bait too? Oh, it's right here. Ah! So like for example, this bait is at the exact same size. The bills are they're almost the same angle. So the 1.0 is pretty much the same size as the Digit. The Digit looks like it's had a lot more detail, a lot better, in my opinion, paint job put on it. A lot more times went into it. You see how it's got the cutouts right here. I think something about the bill being cut in. It made it fragile. They would break off if you slapped it in the water too much. And eventually that is what would happen with these. The bills would break off, but they were $3.99. So I think the bait's the same size, but the hooks are like a lot bigger. So in my opinion, I think even the size small, I don't know, for me it feels like I get hung up, like I can't run these like I could this dude into some of the gunk, and it, you know, kind of reel down slow, feel something let off, and it would just come through cleaner than almost all of these baits. And I don't know. So far, I am not a fan. I spent enough money on all these. Every one of these is brand new. They're like, what, a week, 2 weeks old? And have I caught a fish yet? I haven't thrown 2 of them. The others I've thrown. I'm not sure if I've caught a fish. I can't remember. But, yeah. Anyway. But these came in yesterday. I threw this one for 5 minutes today, maybe. Maybe 5 minutes. I can't remember. Not a long time. Caught a fish. Like out in the middle of nowhere. Just throwing it. Like, let's try it. And it just... Something about that bait. It works. Something about these baits, for me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm just not cranking them fast and hard enough. I have no idea, but so far they're enough for me. Now I threw this bait, and I thought this bait would work. Day old guac, because we were on an orange bite. I didn't get one on that. There's something maybe magical about that olive shad color with the Jabberjaw. I have no idea, but game on. All right, I'm going to talk enough about that. Now I did scrape, let me show you one last time. I scraped this dude down. I didn't even get him out today. I should have probably thrown him. I scraped him down. Now, that belly should fade and not be as bright white. I just took my Dremel. I was like, I just scraped off. I just left a little orange right through here. And I could always take off a little more if I want, but we're just going to let that kind of fade and do whatever it does. And I think that'll be a better bait with not that crazy amount of orange. For me, I like that better. Most of the baits I like have just a touch orange on them, but they don't have a lot. Like the Digit, that color always had a little bit on these. So I thought I would think I would like this sexy shad color. But man, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I pulled these back out of retirement. I was going to sell them, and I'm like, you know what? Because these actually work. There's just times, It's not all the time, but these little coffin bill flat ends or whatever they are, there's just times when those little dudes kick in and they can catch a fish, just like these dudes. More like finesse-y. Smaller water, bite gets tough. A lot of times you can throw one of these, and I have these in every color. I think Tackle Warehouse still has these, but they must be closing out or doing away with them. These kind of hunt like no other. They're very, you cannot run them fast. And I'm finding out, like, I think most fishermen nowadays they want a speed. They want everything to be fast. They want to throw it out, reel it back as fast as you can, and trolling motor on high and buzz around. And, you know, you're going to catch fish, but I don't know. I don't know, man. All I'm saying is, so far it's a no for the Strike King stuff. Tried to make myself like it. I'm going to finish out for sure this year, but if I don't really just get on something, I may weed those out before we actually, you know, before it freezes, before hell freezes over, right? No. So let's talk about real quick these baits before I move on to what was 100% working on the chatterbait field. So I've pulled all the blades. I had different blades on these. I was going to try them out. I decided, nope, I'm done with the mad bites. What I may do is bend up that enough to where I feel like I might try them at like just a swim jig type thing. Just basically put on a swim bait, throw them out for a more subtle, you know, just swimming them through the water column without them chattering at all in case the bite, you know, got real tough, where you'd use a, you know, swim bait, a underspin, or possibly even a spinner bait. But I want to talk real quick about this dude because I talked to Charles before. I'm like, you know, this may be the best looking colored red chatterbait I've ever seen because it does have some black and orange in it. And Charles had it, he rigged it up, and he put a little crazy bright orange TRD bugs, you know, that little, basically a creature bait. I don't think I got one laying around here anymore, but he stuck one on there, and it wasn't even sticking that far out the back, and he proceeded to catch like 2 fish on this today. So, but if you remember right, he's got the standard looking blades, not the crazy mad bite faced ones that come with his. So they do work, and they do work better, I feel, if you put a standard blade on them, but I'm totally out of the mad bites. That was like 16 bucks down, like 50 or 60 on the Strike King stuff, and they're all a no for me. So let's talk about what we always knew and still know. The AliExpress knockoffs are definitely legit. We are tearing these baits up, catching a lot of fish. You have to glue. I'm going to talk real quick for if you're just joining in and you're like no clue what this bait is. Oh no, Tim Hahn Fishing says, hey buddy, you picked up one of those Phoenix jigs, bladed jigs yet? No, I haven't messed with them yet. I honestly don't know if I will. I'm waiting for the Jabberjaw. I'm waiting for my slobber knocker knockoffs to come in, see if I like those or not. Real quick though, if you go to AliExpress, type in chatterbait, you'll probably come up with a lot of them. These are Jackie Hamas, and some places have them, they're not even named that. But if it looks like a jackhammer, smells like a jackhammer, it's not a jackhammer on AliExpress, it's a knockoff. But these are good baits, but there's a few issues with them. You can get them as cheap as $2, but they're only like $3.50 at their highest price on AliExpress. This this hook will, doesn't really get dull. It bends up. If you get on a bunch of wood or just after a while, it will bend up. So a couple things. You basically just bend it back by taking another chatterbait or another chunk of metal or a penny or whatever, and you can basically just force it, like, you know, almost like you're trying to sharpen it with the chunk of metal, or put the metal, you know, on your whatever and pull it, you know, push like this, and then it feels sharp right back again and no issues. Or you can do that and then, you know, take a sharpener or whatever just to resharpen it or whatever. So I've had it happen on 2 or 3 so far. And I mean, it's going to happen, and it could happen on any of these baits if you're throwing them around gunk and actually catching and enough baits. But I really haven't had that issue when I was fishing the true jackhammers, but they're $15 a bait. And the only other issue we've had with these is this thing. You need to check them when they come out of the factory to you to make sure that thing's been in in there like it should be. Because if it isn't, like if you see that there's a little bit of a gap, it's real simple to just take your, pair of needle nose, put right in there and just give it a little squeeze. Now what you can also do, which I did on my, I don't recommend pulling out far, just far enough to get a blade change, but if you wanted to change out, and say you wanted this gold blade on a black and blue like I do, right? So I bought those ones for $2, some had gold blades. So I popped it just enough to where I could slide that blade out, and I've got my one floating around here somewhere, black and blue with the gold blade, a true gold blade, right? Then you just squeeze that back down and then forget about it. And so far the one I did that to, and I've caught several fish on it, you're going to see in a video coming up, it has not even started to move out now. We've lost two of them. I lost one and Charles lost one because it's one of the first ones I had. I never even checked it, didn't even look at, didn't even know it was an issue until that one popped off. So I look at on mine now. Well, Charles bought some finally. He'd had those and had the ones I sold him, my old Z-Mans. Then he broke down and bought some of these because they're so cheap. And right off the bat, this colored one I think he had out, he was throwing it, and within an hour, he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Dude, I told you you knew better." But anyway, he came back with just a blade. And I'm sure that's what happened. He didn't look, and they can come with that thing just not, not pressed right. It's just like the zero adjuster on a dial. Well, you can't let some guy in a factory, that whoever's job, you had one job to do, right? And you didn't bend that in far enough. So double check that. Keep an eye on your blade, just like you do, after a fish or after you get hung in a tree. What you should do on every bait, but check your line, check your hook, make sure you didn't, dull anything, because you definitely want a sharp as you can get hook and, good solid line. That next fish could be a giant, right? All right, enough about those. We got slobber knocker knockoffs coming. These are legit right here. You can go on AliExpress at any given time, get them for like $3.50. Trailers have been an issue for me from day one. Back in the day, I used the, I think I started with the true sweet beaver and then felt it was too big. And then over time I went to the smally beaver and then felt they come off way too much, too often. They worked. I was catching fish with them being on there in the back, but they didn't work. So I've tried stuff over the years. I tried these boar hogs, palmetto bugs cut down. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. What I'd finally gotten to last year was the riot baits. I don't even remember what they call. They're smaller beaver bait, and they work. They work good. They tend to stay on a little bit better than what the Reaction Innovation plastic did. They have a little more flap in the tails. They got slight little flaps in there and everything, and they work. I like those. They're pretty good. But I like, I don't know. So some point in time this year when I was fishing with Matt and them, and they had the Baby Rage Menace on jigs, I was watching how that thing, it just, when you pull it, how those feet, I was like, I'm going to try that on Chatterbait. Put it on, and it was like game over. That little Baby Rage Menace, let it jump around. I'm like, that thing's awesome. Only downside to it, 2 or 3 fish, doop, I need a new bait. They're $5.99 for like 9, so 50 cents just over a piece. So you're paying 50 cents for 3 little dinks. I'm like, yeah, I want to find something better. So after Nate and a few other people I've seen in videos also like recommend running a goat, baby goat, or the billy goat as a trailer. I basically I looked at the billy goat and I didn't want no part of it. I thought it was too gig. So the goat I thought might gonna be too big. I was hoping I'd get by with the baby goat, but it is just too small for a 3/8 or ½ ounce chatterbait. So we picked up the goat, and then it just is, I felt it's just a touch too bulky. So as you see here, I did my fine straight line cutting, and I cut it down, right? But you'd be surprised, that works. And I think more jagged and actually more like, I don't know, just not true 100% straight lines. I think they're as rounded as you can get it, but a few little, notches here and there don't really hinder it at all. It's just a matter of keeping it slim. And then I even go, and I'm going to start, I think I'm going to have all mine cut like this. I cut almost half of that flap off the back because I want it just moves. I think it gives it the right movement when you're working the chatterbait, and it creates the least amount of drag to where you can still have tails flapping, so you're going to imitate a crawdad, and then it'll let it jump around. Now, yes, technically, if you wanted to, you could turn that baby sideways on maybe certain ones. Maybe if, just like, say, the white ones, and you're running white chatterbait, turn it sideways just like you would a baby rage menace would kind of give you more of a fish profile. Maybe fish it a little higher up in the column, a little faster, jerking it around. But I tend to just rig all mine just like this, like I'm trying to imitate a crawdad or a white crawdad or whatever. And it seems to be working good so far. I've had good luck on this one in this color, the black and blue. I haven't even really tried the white one yet that much. The Baby Rage Menace, I've had real good luck with the white one on some of these other colored chatterbaits that aren't 100% white. Let me show you this real quick. Let me get them out. So I got it out today, and I did catch a few fish. I'll show you this one real quick. If you remember right, that's another good color here. It's kind of like a close to bee height delight. It's a little more, hardly no white in it, a little more intense green. But I rigged up the hot snakes on it. Caught a couple fish today, but that really wasn't the color going. It's that orange. If you remember right, we're at the same place where the orange crawdads were getting spit up. But caught a few on that dude. Same thing, cut it down. I think I cut the feet down. I almost need to cut that one a little bit more. It's almost not enough. I rigged one up, but I don't think I threw it much. No, I took it back off just because I don't know why I took that back off. But I have a white one cut down. I just didn't cut the legs on it yet. I need to cut those down. But I use the white one on pretty much any of these with white on them. From this dude to an actual, that's kind of a silver looking one. That's a true jackhammer. I pulled the jackhammers back out of the gonna sell pile to like a chartreuse and white, run the white one. You know, whether it's a Baby Rage Menace or the, I guess I should show you the comparison. You could run, and I know somebody's gonna be like, just run a Rage Menace on it. Yeah, I feel these are perfect. I wish they made that, because the body gets bigger also on the Rage Menace. The flappers get a little bigger, the body gets thicker around. I like these little dudes. They just let this thing jump around but still flap. So here is kind of the comparison. So if you look, these Rage Tail, they're not that thick. The Z-Man things are they're not, I guess, as wide here. But then these flapper things are crazy, insanely, these kind of more cupped around. You know, they're longer like this, but they're not as wide. So I just did not, I think that's too much. If you guys can see the difference. So I just cut them. Like almost try to cut in half. Like cut half of that thing down to get them closer to that. And I think they work. They create less drag, but yet they still let them tails back there flapping around like, but then when you, and to get it to jump around, you want to basically be going at a steady pace, whether it's fast, slow, whatever, and then either go faster or kill it and then go faster, then back to your normal pace. But that will let this thing, if you don't have a lot of drag, will let that chatterbait jump around. And if you got something coming at you, you know, following it or seeing it, whatever, it's just looking at your bait and it's just coming at a whatever pace, and then it just does something weird. A lot of times that gets you the reaction strike, and less drag just gets you more reaction strikes with the chatterbait. Now sometimes they're just on chatterbaits. You start that blade up and they're on it. Sometimes it takes that a little extra, so I always just keep adding a little extra, right? Just get used to adding a little extra. But anyway, there's the baits that mainly did the damage. This one, the black and blue with the gold blade on last Saturday. What's funny is I did not catch, the last 2 Saturdays, I have not caught a chatterbait fish. I caught my share today, right? I got my fix today. Me and Charles, I got a bunch of them. Mainly on that, but on that other one, I think I caught 1 or 2 on the black and blue. Is this my black and blue? Here he is. Here he is. That dude right there. AliExpress, black and blue. They did not come with that. I kinked it out a little bit and I'll try to show you. So you're going to see in a video from last week, and then the few I caught this, so I caught a bunch of fish, cast and reeled back in a bunch of times, and it's still in there just like it was when I changed out to this blade. So I took it, kinked it up just enough to switch the blades out, put that blade on, squeezed it back with needle nose, and it has not moved since. So that makes me think that I thought maybe, uh-oh, we got some weak metal. I just don't think they quite had it enough, and it just, anyway. This thing has tore up some fish, and there's no sign of it wearing. And another plus I like, it seems like you can leave. I don't recommend, like, now I need to take them all off either tonight or whatever and put them back in their blister pack so they kind of hold a little form. But it's not like the thing I like about these over the Zinkers, they're going to last forever. I can leave them on, like I can rig them up Friday night, I can go to the weekend, leave them rigged up on the baits I got them on. The Zinkers are like, put it on when you're done, peel them back off, because will start rusting up stuff, especially on these knockoffs. That hook keeper, I rusted one completely out because I forgot about it, left it on for like a week, and it totally destroyed it. This one, I think it's been on a week. It's been on a while. I've pulled it off. This Elastec doesn't seem to react with the paint that the AliExpress knockoffs are on. Sometimes, like some of the shaky heads I was using when I was putting the Zinkers or the regular finesse worms, you'd put a worm on and you'd leave it for like 3 or 4 days, and then it would get real loose. Like it would start almost like melting with the paint kind of deal. These don't seem to be doing that so far, which is a plus for rigging them up. Like I mentioned, rigging them up Friday night, whatever. If you're in a tournament or whatever, you rig them up the night before. You can have them rigged without the fear of them just totally eating in or whatever. They seem legit so far, and they're gonna last. Like I mentioned, cut them down. They're basically gonna work as good as like if you guys already run a Rage Menace or Baby Rage Menace, they should let them jump around more than a Rage Menace. Just as good as a Baby Rage Menace, and you won't be going through plastics. So they make white, black and blue, the orange, pumpkin orange or whatever, the hot snakes, the deal, I want to say, is it pumpkin, watermelon red flake, or maybe it's watermelon and then watermelon red flake they make. And you can get Tackle Warehouse has their, I think it's Okeechobee Craw, and then they, not by Tackle Warehouse, but there's also Okeechobee Craw, and I believe Tackle Warehouse Gill or something, which is kind of a blue and brown looking one. So I've got them all, and at some point we will be seeing them on some sort of chatterbait or whatever, because I'm trying some different. I do need to work on finding me a natural bluegill color. So far I'm kind of, I guess I got one right here. I'll try to show you. That's a true jackhammer. I've not found the luck in this. I think that head is totally wrong to go with this skirt. And the deal kind of works, but I think I'm going to put the Tackle Warehouse. I just didn't get around to it today because, like I said, they got on that, and I was just like, game over. I'll just keep throwing that. But that is the deal, I think. Yeah, I cut the deal down, and I didn't get around to cutting his deal. I just threw him a few times. Need to cut those down, but I think I'm going to try the Tackle Warehouse colored goat on this dude, but I think I'm going to do something different with that head. Either paint it, I don't like the head, but that is a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. Pulled all, I'm like, I'm just going to fish the jackhammers. They're still out. You can still buy them. So as long as you can, I might as well fish, because there's nothing wrong with the jackhammers. It's just they're $15 or however much they are. All these crazy chatterbaits, my God, they want like $14 for a Thunder Cricket. Get out of here. Now, I was watching somebody, they claim the Thunder Crickets, I haven't tried them. Matt's had a few. The Thunder Cricket will run a little deeper than a jackhammer. Like a 1/2 ounce Thunder Cricket, 1/2 ounce jackhammer. The Thunder Cricket is going to be running a little deeper at the same pace, right? If that makes sense. But technically, as long as you want to kind of, there's a few ways to fish them. Like just creep them and barely, as slow as you can, but you still feel it chattering, right? And then just change the pace a little bit, or go a little faster, or I've never really had much luck just using them like a jig, like letting them bounce on bottom and then jigging them up, or going. I feel they are a moving bait and they need to be moving and then changing pace, and that's where my best luck is, and around grass. But kind of right across the tops of anything, could be, some rock or whatever. wood, if you can get to where you can see the wood, and just run it across the tops of the wood, you know, through the wood without getting down and getting caught, because it will get caught, trust me. So yeah, any questions? Drop them below. As far as the Phoenix baits, I know they make a lot of different sizes, and I believe, quote me, don't quote me, but I think back when Brett Height, who right, kind of worked with Evergreen and Z-Man, they created the jackhammer. I'm pretty sure he won all of his tournaments on Phoenix Chatterbaits, I think, before he got the deal going with them. So if that's true, then that tells you right there that the Phoenix baits are definitely legit. Because I don't know how many people have won, of the big boys have won tournaments on jackhammer. I've heard there's a lot of, you know, local, you know, stuff being won with jackhammers, but everybody fishes a jackhammer. So when it's a chatterbait that's going to win, I don't know. I've fished them all as far as the Z-Man stuff, and I do not see it in my fish catch to hook, whether it be hookup ratio, how many will hit or not hit, that jackhammer performed any better than the Z-Man original to me. I've done the test. You can go back and look. All I had were Z-Man originals and jackhammers, and I was running them side by side, like the black and blues and the white ones, and I just felt like I could get by with the little bit lighter rod, basically not quite the same, you know, hook set, because of the Z-Man originals are definitely, and I've got one right here, crazy hook. But in all this stuff I've been doing, and you guys see me trying to track down what I've, you know, because I feel my hookup ratios have gotten a little off. I think part of the problem is that I thought, well, I can get by with a little bit lighter, because back in the day I was kind of using medium action, or not medium heavy rods, but I think they were truly closer to medium, or sorry, I just poked myself. I was closer to on the heavy side. They were pretty stiff rods, and that hook is insane on the Z-Man original. And when you yank and set that, and I think it is more likely to, you know, it's so big that this popping up isn't as big a deal as it is on some of these other ones, because even the jackhammer, I think, is not quite, I think it goes down just a hair, doesn't set quite as high. So I haven't tested it, but my honest opinion, I think for me anyway, and it's probably true, just the fact that, you know, if you run, I was throwing jackhammers, I was throwing Z-Man original, I was throwing customs, I was throwing this, there at one point, I was throwing, when you're throwing a lot of different ones in your hook, it's like you're overpowering one hook, and then you get to a point where you're not setting the hook real hard, and you're like, oh, you're not setting hard enough on the other. So what my plan was, and it still is at some point, is just to go with all of these guys and just kind of have the one hook set, because even though these 3/8 come with a little bit smaller hook, it's pretty much the same. All the hook sets seem to be the same on the 3/8 and the 1/2 ounce, which is pretty much the same as all the jackhammers. This bait, I would probably yank harder if I knew I had this one on. I would probably just give it that bone jarring, you know, I would wait and feel, almost like you would a frog fit or anything else, you know. If it slacks your line, just wait till you feel it, pull until you feel some weight, and then hit it, because you're going to hopefully get that blade straightened out. Anyway, I'm out of here. 45 minutes. How much are they? Yeah, the AliExpress, which ones are you talking about? AliExpress got cheap baits. But the AliExpress, even the Slobber Knocker knockoffs and these, which are the Jackie Hammer baits, are like $3.50 to $4 on, it depends on where you go with shipping, but most places are like $3.50, but if you buy more than one, so like if you get one of 3 or 4 different colors, you're going to end up spending almost like $3 a bait shipped and all. And if you go on there, some of them, are on crazy sales, and this color for sure. That's why I have so many of them. I'll try to show you. These colors here, and I only bought the pink just because, and I've already done it on one. I can still use that head. Like there's the one I pulled the gold one off of. That's still a perfectly fine chatterbait head, right? It's perfectly fine. I kinked it just enough, and I'll show you. Like that's all I had to move it, if you can see. And you got to watch. Some of them I think come about like that. I'll try to show you. To just poop, I pulled the blade out. So I can put a blade back in there. What I can do is paint it if I don't like that color, which I don't really like that color. So I could basically either paint the top black or whatever color. I kind of like that. You know, leave that little bit of orange on there, and or just completely make it white. Even just scrape that off and leave it like a lead color because it's going to wear off anyway. Stick another blade on there, kink that in, tie or just skirt on. I've got a brand new head ready to go. These were only $2, so this is what you get. $2. You get this bait. So you could also, if you wanted to, paint this green, black, or whatever with the gold blade. Just cut that skirt off for $2. It's hard to find a good jig, you know what I'm saying? And they just work. So like this one, you could almost kink it a little bit. That's brand new. I haven't even used it or nothing. But see how it's like in there? That one's actually, no, that's fine. You wouldn't want to mess with that. Just leave that alone and fish it. Or if you're going to switch it out, change blades, whatever, you got that option. But this color actually works. I originally bought this just so I could turn them all into black and blue before I realized you could just change out the blade. So these were as cheap as $2 a piece. And this color was too. I bought some of those. So all of these that you're seeing now, they weren't $3.50, they were $2. So I just bought some, right? I got some spares. I got either heads or, you know, whatever I want to do. These colors actually, I don't know, I have not had the luck with this color for some reason. I don't know what's up with that. I think the water I'm fishing is just a touch too clear for that. Or I need to put the bait on like this and try to fish it more higher up in the water column, like as a bait fish kind of thing. So I bought a couple 1/2 ounce, a couple 3/8 ounce. I already had a few because when they were $2, I bought some already. So yeah, got a bunch of those. The slobber knockers are the same way right now. I think they're like $3.50. So I'm stocked up on chatterbaits. You gotta look at that. I have way too many, honestly. It's gonna take me forever. These should last me for 5 years or 10. We'll see. I do not need to buy any more. I have like 4 slobber knockers coming. I did not need. I'm going to try them. And I don't know. I guess if I like them. I don't think I like them better than these. But if they work and seem good, legit, I'll probably just maybe get another one of each color that I feels good. Just so I have a back. That's what I like doing. I'll finish off with this. That's why I kind of have I hate. And usually you can get on Tackle Warehouse and as of right now, they're kind of making it, which I didn't get on there. I think I ordered Tuesday and they made it by Saturday. If I'd ordered Monday, maybe they'd have made it in time to fish on Saturday. But when I find something I do like, I honestly don't really care how much it costs. When I feel I need a bait, just like when I need a rod or reel, you know, like the Zillions kind of deal. I definitely want that bait and I want a backup. So if I'm out fishing, this thing, whatever reason, I lose it, break it off, something malfunction, breaks, something happens, I like to have one to finish out that day or weekend and then reorder them. And then honestly, the minute I feel that I can't get that bait anymore, I want to start finding something else to replace it, right? So like right now, if they're like totally discontinued these, like they're kind of on clearance, they're selling them, but they're still available. But if the minute I find out I couldn't get these, I would, one of two things. I'd either try to jump on somewhere and buy like 100 of these, you know, for like $5 each, or you know what I'm saying, $500, and just put them up, which I kind of wish I would have done with the Digit since it does work so good. I wish I'd have bought like 150 of these. I would still be fishing it. So I don't even fish it that much just because I've got a limited supply and you can't get any more. I can't really recommend it to you guys because there's nowhere to go buy the Digit. But this is an awesome bait. So as I finish, if you come across the Cabela's Digits, they were the Fisherman Series Digit. I would recommend, and there are probably some on eBay. I would recommend to get them because they do work. Shallower grass, water, just and kind of all around, even in open water. I caught a 5-pounder just casting it towards the bank and reeling back about halfway back, bam, 5-pounder. And I've caught several big fish on these diggets. But these seem to be the new digget for me. Like they just, I can throw them and they work. I just having a bad habit about getting them stuck in wood. And like I said, I might try a different. I'm getting a lure retriever. I had one in the past, and I think I sold it when I sold all my tackle boxes way back when. But I'm going to get another one. Because even at $8 a piece, I don't want to keep losing baits, right? So have your bait that you like, have a backup. Like in chatterbaits, you guys know I like chatterbait fishing. I kind of have like 3 or 4 of each color once I know it's a good color. And it's kind of not really I got 3 or 4 of each color. I've got a half and a 3/8 and then another half and another 3/8 in that color. And with the Jabberjaws, with the knockoff jackhammers, at being, and I could also have the option I can get close to making that color back with all these other ones I have. You've got that $2 to $3.50, so that's why I've got so many of them. Back when I had the even the Z-Man originals, I kind of just had I think I had 2 black and blue. I had this Bayou Craw, a white one, a white and chartreuse, and that was kind of it. I just used those when one would break or lost or whatever. I would go order another one. Wasn't a huge deal, but back when I had my, I always had my bag of worms and different stuff for finesse, but my hard baits was basically the Man's Baby 1-, that little real shallow crank. I had like my favorite colors. I'd have like 3 of the colors I felt might get on a bite, because at the time I'd go fishing and me and usually brother, and then maybe somebody else would go with us. So I wanted to have those because it seemed like you could get on a bite with those. So I wanted to have, if the color was working, I wanted to have one for him, and then whoever was with us, so we could throw the same bait. Is why there for a while I carried around like 3 of everything in the colors, and I didn't use a ton of baits, but I had like 3 of everything. Just so that, I wouldn't want to, I'd feel bad if I'm sitting there fishing and these kids aren't catching fish, and I don't want to give my bait up if I don't have to. I mean, I will, but I don't want to, so I want to have like what they need. So anyway, as I get out of here, I'll talk real quick about reels, and I've still got 2 of these just sitting here, and right now they sent me the offer. The Sonora store sent me the offer of a Dark Wolf Ultra for $55. I don't know if you guys have seen that or whatever, and I almost like jumped on their bite now, like I'll buy another one. I don't need another one. I've got 3. I've got one over there rigged up. I got these 2 new ones I unboxed for you guys. We looked at them, checked them. We realized that these things just turn green after a while, right? My other one kind of has a green tint to it, and the older one I sold to Charles had a green tint. When I unboxed the one that's green now, it wasn't green. It was black like these. So after a while using them, they just kind of get I guess being out in the sun, they just kind of get a greenish look to them. Still look good, they just don't look like this. So I still have these sitting here. Let me get them out of the way. I still have this that I'm trying to either sell or talk myself into fishing, and I realized tonight why I don't like this reel as much also. Because look at that, I didn't even realize it was that high speed of a gear ratio. Can you guys see what that says? Now I looked at it, I thought it said 8.5 to 1. That says 8.9 to 1. So that's like a 9.0 basically. That is and I thought that. I had it on, not this rod, but you got it all out focused. The 6'6" medium light. And I was like fishing it going, man, I just feel like I need a slower reel. I would like it better. And I didn't realize that was this was that high speed of a reel. So that is another reason why I guess I couldn't make myself really like this reel. So if anybody really wants one, it does have, I found a scratch on it. Right, if you look. You got to hit it just in the light right there. I've done something that put a scratch on it. It's not a gouge, but it's like a little 3 or 4 little things right there. Like this way you can't see it. But if you really look right just right, you can make it out. There's a little scratch right there. Now everywhere else, I think it's pretty much like new. I haven't even fished it that much. I don't know what's going on. That, in my opinion, looks gaudy and ugly, and this I don't like. That's the main reason why I'm like, no. Sell that reel. So I put that little scratch on. I was wanting like 250 for it, but that's basically what you can get them for. I would sell it for 220 ship. Put the stock handle back on it. It's basically not that old a reel if somebody wanted it. 220 bucks. If not, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Maybe I'll smash it with one of my weights and we'll have a video that gets 1,000,000 views and I'll get famous and rich. Or it'll just sit here as a paperweight. This reel, I like these reels, but let's talk about the downside. The downside is I think I don't like the speed I picked out. The 8-to-1, I think I may like better than the 7-to-1 because I think I liked the Carbon Light 2.0 reel that I had was a 7.5-to-1, and I think I liked it. This is a 7-to-1, or yeah, 7-to-1, but it has the smaller spool, and I almost feel like I need just a little more speed. So I might try the 8-to-1, but I bought 2 of the 7-to-1s, which is same as the Dark Wolf Ultras, but they come. You can get the shallow and the deep spool in an 8-to-1. The Micro Monster, you can only get a slower speed with both spools or the high speed with the shallow spool. So I don't know. I may take that 8-to-1 and put on here for Chatterbaits. Try it. I haven't decided yet, or I may just get used to the. I can't. It's hard to say. I was fishing today, and I felt like I needed it to. I felt like I had to reel too fast for the speed I wanted. I'm like, I just might as well have a faster one, and I can just slow. Instead of out here doing this, I can just do this and still be going as fast as I want to go, or I can even go slower. I feel I don't have a problem slowing down. I feel when a fish he like kills it and you want to reel up the slack and pull and then set the hook, it feels like you're kind of behind the minute you start using a slower reel. Like I feel the 7.5-to-1 with the regular spool that was in the 2.0 felt pretty good. I feel these Zillions that are 8.5-to-1 with, I don't feel them all the way up, but I think they're close. I think the 8.5-to-1 with the little lower spool probably puts it closer to an 8-to-1 or 7-8-to-1 kind of thing. And I think I'm liking that speed. That's that like little, I know, being nitpicky, that fine tuning. I definitely think that this one is, even though it's a smaller spool at that crazy ratio, I don't think I would like how fast. It's just it's a little bit on that fast side for me. So I hate to buy any kind of reel, and I'm not 100% sure on what for jigs and stuff. It really honestly doesn't make a huge difference. The minute you're working moving baits and you're doing it like consistently for a while, I think you definitely, in my opinion, I think I want faster, and I'll just slow down myself instead of trying to make myself all day and day of fishing have to take a 6-8-to-1, 7-3-to-1s, have to keep up the thing, and I don't really do any deep cranking, and I feel like the deep jiving Jabberjaws, the 3XD in them, I'm throwing them on, whether it be this or whether it be an 8.5-to-1, and I'm just slowly reeling it. I'll feel it get down there and it starts hitting. I'll do my little trying to get it to bounce off the bottom or whatever, and it seems to work with the higher speed ratio. I don't see where I would need a back in the day, old school was like 4.8, 4.9 or whatever, 5.3-to-1, 5.8, and then a lot of reels were 5.8-to-1 there for a while, and then 3-to-1 used to be. You guys remember the burners, the Quantum burner 6.3-to-1? That is a very slow reel nowadays. I definitely, though, I think there's a too fast, and I think for me that sweet spot is 7.5 to 8, like the high 7s, low 8s. I think that's my little sweet spot for almost every technique, everything, just how I like the reel to feel when I'm cranking, whether it be Jabberjaws, frogs, and jerk baits where you're kind of working them and then you're reeling your slack and I just work that bait, whether it be cranks, chatterbaits, spinner baits, swim baits, throwing a jig out, working a jig, reeling your slack up, working a jig. I think I like faster reels, but not too fast. So, I'm out of here. This thing's going to be an hour. I got to go. Jay, checking in at 45 minutes in, Jay. What's up? Jay's got power still. Yeah, review of the ARC G7. I watched the one of the G5. I'm not sure. I don't know. The real test. The real test. Actually, he's probably, I don't know, who else reviews as many reels as he does? I don't really know of anybody. The Tackle Advisor does a lot. He kind of just pulls them apart, but I kind of got away from even watching his videos. Because, well, he dogs them all, but he's more Daiwa than Shimano probably. He's got Steezes and that kind of stuff. I feel I don't do near as many. I just do some, and I'm not going to buy all that's out there. I'm not a collector, and you try to buy one and then resell, you're going to lose money and all that stuff. So I try to see something, I'm like, man, I like that reel. And I like these reels. I'm still up in the air with if I like them for this bigger baits, bigger line. That's 15-pound test. Feels good, no issue. You'll see in a video coming out, I'm like, I wonder if I can hit the other side. I'm like, phew, I cast that little sucker out with that bait right there. I landed like 2 foot on the other side of the bank. I was like, wow, that thing will fling some baits. I don't think it's quite up to the zillion, but I'm telling you, for I don't know, these are cheap reels. Well, I say cheap, they're affordable reels that I don't know if you would call them cheap made or not, because it's smooth. I did most of my catching on this one. I caught some on, not this one, the other one. This is the lighter one. But with the Zillion, with the other purple rod, I caught some on it. But this one did the most of my work today. At the same place, if you remember right, where the 2.0 carbon light started getting that geary sound, this thing is I'll try to show you. I won't be able to do a lot, but now what's funny is I got a clicking going on, and I already know what the clicking is. Watch, listen if you can hear this. Hear that little clickety click? It's this. I should have put another washer, and I was tightening the drag up today to get it where I wanted it. And one of these, just one, because it's not 100% perfect how these little spring-loaded ones work. One of these is clicking the spool tension, but this thing is like still smooth, no noise. It's very good working filling. And like I was showing Charles, the only downside I see to these, because out on the water I have not had an issue, but any plastic reel, once you add 15-pound or bigger, and you see how I set my drags, I hook them to something and I'm pulling hard, I feel like I can feel this thing flexing just a hair, like when I pull. I'm pulling hard, and I'm like at the point to where the line possibly could snap, or these rods aren't going to break. Like this rod never gave me the feeling like it could break. Back in the day, and they wouldn't. Even the technical bassing guys commented about how the NRX rod sometimes will give you that, like it's so light, and when you're like, you got it set and you're yanking on a fish, you'd almost swear like the rod could break, but I don't think it would. These rods don't give me that feeling, but you know what I'm saying. I'm pulling, you can hear the line creaking, and then the drag goes, and I'm like, I could almost, like, these want to flex a little. So with anyone, whether it be a Black Max, these, any plastic framed, carbon bodied, whatever reel, right there, you could possibly break there with going too thick a line, too tight a drag. It's basically like pulling a winch, just like you'd pull, if you mounted a winch cheaply mounted it on the front of your car, no matter how awesome the winch is, if you're stuck very good, you'll just rip the winch right off your car, right? So that's where one of the downsides for these being plastic, especially, or graphite, carbon, whatever they're made out of. They're not hooked all the way across the bottom, so there's not a ton of material in there. So I'm going to put it to the test, and I put it to the test, and so far it's held up. I definitely would not go over 15 pounds. If you guys thinking, well, I'll get one of those and put 20, I would not do that if I was you, because I think you could stand to rip that reel right off of the reel seat. Just my opinion, because I'll try to show you. That drag that's pretty tight drag, I'm telling you. And so when I was, doing the drag test, now I never had one issue. It didn't feel like it was flexing at all on the fish I was catching today or none of that. But when I was putting it to the test, setting the drag, I was like, ooh, I don't know. You know what I mean? That kind of deal. I was like, yeah, it'll handle it, but will it handle it for 5 years? Could it possibly give out? So I think it'll be okay, but I was just giving you that. That's the only thing that crossed my mind about this reel. Like, I don't know. We'll find out, in durability testing, it kind of thing. But as far as casting, reeling, working, the drag and all that, big, 15-pound, dealing with regular size baits, it seems very good. So what's funny is, so you'd be perfect if you were like, say 12 pound and less. No, I think you would be golden, right? The funny thing is, and it's the one reel that is, and it's just noisy on the cast. These seem kind of quiet. The other 8-to-1 is on my big sexy. No issues with it so far. The one that's on my medium light, which has only got 10-pound test, is not throwing typically as much or as heavy a baits as these. It makes a whining noise when it casts, which is like maybe it's got a bad bearing or I oiled them, but I don't know. It's the only one that's had any issue on casting. It's just a slight noise that kind of is aggravating, honestly. Other than that, it seems fine. And it's the one that's only had the lighter stress put on it. So is there a quality control issue? Not really, because I mean, I bought 3 of them and that one's got it, but it's not really I guess most people probably wouldn't even care. I think it's quieter than Matt's reels, just so you know, and Charles. But it's got a little, it's not definitely not Aldebaran 22 quiet or Zillion quiet, but it's noisier than these other two. Probably, I don't know, it's probably noisier than the Dark Wolf Ultras I've tried and all the other, out of all these little reels, it's the loudest one I've ever come across. It reminds me, and it has regular bearings, but it reminds me of the Black Wolf, the Black Knight 2 with the ceramic bearings. It's not that loud, but it reminds me of that. It's got that it's like that, noisier sound to it. So I may try to just put even a little more oil on them and just see if I can get it a little quieter. But it's going to work. It's worked fine. It casts good. No issues. All right. Yeah, I broke another record. Over an hour again. At some point, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do some live streams. I'm going to do them quick. I'm going to bring out my computer, and we're going to show you another rundown on AliExpress. I'm going to probably show you how, and you guys comment if you want to, what you want to see, like me flop my computer open. Do you want me to show you how I go to Tackle Warehouse, maybe look at stuff, pick stuff, because they have a sale going on from now until like the 13th. Pretty decent deals. The Jabberjaws are $7.98, and several other things are on sale. Or AliExpress. You guys want another one of that? Or do you want to watch how I edit one of my videos? I don't really want to mess with going to Bass Pro Shop's website. It takes too long to load up. It's just like it's weird. I don't like it. It doesn't work as good as Tackle Warehouse. And then at some point, I think what I'm going to do, I'm not doing it tonight. I'm just not going to. I think I'm going to do, just because, like, if you watch people like a coach or somebody would draw you up plans. I'm thinking about grabbing a Sharpie. I don't even know where a Sharpie is right at the moment. And you guys comment if you'd like to see that. So I will basically draw up like how I, what I look for, how I fish baits, what the water and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to basically see, as I'm getting ready to go up now and watch the rest of the Chiefs games, how you would draw up a plan, how the water looks, how to fish the bait, that kind of deal. As I'm explaining it, I could draw you a picture, and I suck at drawing. But some of you guys, if you see it, rather than just hearing somebody talk about it, and it's hard to watch what they're doing out on the water, right? Because the baits are in the water. And if that would help you guys also on how I approach banks, which banks I look for, and slopes and all that kind of stuff. Right? Oh, I know. I got a blue pin that would be awesome for this. It's out in the truck. But I'm not going to do it tonight. But if you'd like to see that in one video, let me know. Because in my opinion, there's several different, just coming up to banks would give you an idea, even if you don't own a depth finder and all that kind of stuff, on what bait to maybe start with or whatever, just by looking at different stuff. So anyway, I'm out here. If you'd like to see videos like that, let me know. Watch the videos on the water videos. I'm telling you guys, they're exciting. Watch and see. The one is out now. Go watch it. We were, me, Matt, and Hannah trying to catch smallmouth. The one's coming out probably tomorrow night or the next day. You're going to see if me and Hannah get smallmouth or how many or whatever. And we'll see if Hannah falls out of the boat and that kind of stuff. Then it's game on with me and Chatterbaits, then with me and the Jabberjaw, and then with me and Chatterbaits again, and me with this frog. Right? Right. Will we be BFS fishing any soon? I don't know. I can still find a pretty good bite with regular gear. BFS, as soon as that water, I feel like all my regular baits shut down, then you'll probably start seeing some more true, just BFS only fishing kicking. And that's when, you know, our little chatterbaits, the little bean bait, doctor, the Proberos, little bitty square bills, all that little, you know, true zinkers on a shaky head, maybe even a drop shot, that kind of stuff will kick in, you know, maybe TRD. We're not there yet. Like, you can still go find fish, or I probably should have given up on Saturday and went to that crazy extreme lightweight stuff, but I feel nothing was hitting. I was trying the double shot. I was trying a little jig up into the grass. I was doing some finessey stuff, and that bite just after 9 a.m. shut down. There's only one other guy out there in a boat fishing, and he said he only caught like 2 or 3 dinks. And he got there like right as the bite was dying off for me. That's when he showed up and started fishing. So he went, let him go to where I was going to go fish, the other side where I did real good. Go back there. Just let him go back and hit it. And I went, cut over and hit a few other things, and was like, I stayed way too long. What I should have done is that half hour went by and I didn't have another hit because it was so good. Then I went like a half hour with no hit. I should just load up and went to another spot, and then started a whole nother video. If I go there again and that bite shuts down like that, that's exactly what I'll do. I'm not in a tournament. I don't have to be at that body of water. I can load up within a probably half hour, 20 minutes, be at another bite. Well, drive time, not loading and getting there, but within roughly half hour, 45 minutes, be at another spot and fish. Get out